MC, start.
All right. Good day, everyone. I trust you are doing so great. My name is Samson Oladapo, and I am super excited to be doing this again. Last month, August, was when we did this. We had the second edition of this Africanization of schools, colleges, and universities series. And August was the second series, and this September is our third series. And again, I'm really super excited to be doing this. I don't know if anybody is also as excited as I am. If you are, maybe you can just let me know either in the comments or you want to unmute your mic and let us know before we go ahead. Okay. All right. So no response yet. So I'll just go ahead if that's fine. All right. So like I said, this is the third series that I would like to confirm if anybody can hear me, please.
Yes, we can.
We're excited. Right. All right. I saw that. Interesting. All right. So like I said, this is the third series, and I'm not sure how many speakers we'll be having, but I'm sure that this session is going to be a very experiential one. I've had like a bit of peep into some of the presentations, so and I myself I'm super excited, and I can't wait to learn, and see how we move on from here. So we're kickstarting, you know, and the very first person that will be presenting is a very amiable professor, Professor Stella Haunaya. And she's a professor of educational management and teaching, who is also in charge of pedagogy at the Great Emmanuel University under the Center for Academic Research and Educational Sustainability. You can, for short, you can call it CARES. All right, so quick one. By the end of the session, we have about 10 to 20 minutes. We can put in our comments. You may decide to do that via the chat feature, or you mute your mic and you talk. Also, there's also rooms for questions in case you have any questions that you may want to ask. So I'm, I'm, I'm tempted to say, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, esteemed people in the house, I would like to welcome Professor Stella Ahunaya for her presentation.
Thank you for having me. And good day, everybody. I want to share my screen. May I crave your indulgence while I do that before I start my presentation today? Thank you.
Very fine. You're welcome.
Mr. MC, am I good?
Okay, yeah, so we are good. You may want to put it on full screen for easy navigation.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly, yeah. Yes. Now we are very good. and you can continue.
Okay. Once again, good afternoon, everybody. My presentation today takes us from holding talks, according to Rotimi, the playwright, to doing the talk. The first and the second phase of the Africanization of curriculum for schools, colleges, and universities, we had presented the fact that digital divide exists and Africa must close that divide. So today, we are looking at the possibility of not only closing the divide, but making sure that the closed divide produces development in localities in Africa. So the title of our presentation is From Villages to the World and Back to the Villages. It is a strategic model for digital talent incubation and economic renewal. Africa's human capital paradox is the first part of this presentation, which is in 5 parts. The paradox is that Africa has the youngest population in the world, but has the widest digital divide. 60% of African population is under 25 years. Yet, only 40% of the same population have internet access. Compare that to developed nations where we are almost having 80 to 90% internet access. In Africa, according to World Bank, ITU, and the World Economic Forum, 10% of households own a computer, 10%. Meanwhile, in developed nations, almost every family has a computer or has access to computer. Another paradox is that 65% of graduates from African universities lack digital and soft skills, according to World Bank. So what is the problem? Looking at the current gaps, we have brain drain that takes talents from Africa to developed nations. And these brains are helping in further development of the developed nations, while Africa lags behind. There is fragmented initiatives when these African talents that are outside Africa want to bring their money home. The investment they make do not impact the development of their localities because it is mostly used for consumption purposes. There's going to be a global shortage of skilled workers by 2030. And we want Africans to key into this shortage. And if possible, provide half of people that will work by that time. So what is the opportunity? Africa as a globe should be a global talent supply hub. That is why by the time we put our curriculum in order and then go further to put in place things that will turn the products of that community into economic, into what people that will make the economy to develop. So this strategic plan has 4 steps. The first is talent identification and enculturation. Talent identification has been going on with competitions, with selections. For instance, NECO, which is the examination body that administers first school living certificates and common entrance, national common entrance in Nigeria, have a policy that the top 10% of the candidates are given scholarship by oil companies. So selecting talents is not going to be a problem. So all we have to do is go to the localities and check their NECO results and start taking them from there. Enculturation means that when we have selected these young people, we'll now work on their mindset in such a way that they will look within their localities, look at the problems within their localities, and start thinking critically about solving them using modern technology. Once we've done that, we now export digital skills training. Already things like that are happening across Africa. Youths are being trained by private organizations, individuals, foundations on digital skills. Then the next thing we will do is to facilitate global placement. This has been done by other countries. And of course, Nigeria has also tried it. I remember Nigeria sending talents to places like Cuba, supplying them with manpower. Those ones learned what was going on and they came back enriched. Then we'll make sure that these talents return and reinvest in their local communities so that their local communities' problems will be solved through them as they are also mentoring younger ones. So in detail, step 1 is talent identification and acculturation. We have to select brilliant youths from undeserved, unknown towns and villages that have peculiar problems that when it is solved, it will boost the economic development of such a locality. For instance, we have a problem in yam production in Benue. So we'll go to those communities and get young ones to look into how to preserve yams so that yams, we can have them throughout the year. That's what we have in developed nations. But in Africa, half of agricultural production are wasted because the storage system is not there. Recently, the former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Shibajo, mentioned the situation with cocoa. Why should we export cocoa and then buy chocolate? Can't we do it ourselves? Right now, in a town known as Obomosho, there's problem of preserving cashew or adding value to cashew before exporting it. If you go to our localities, these problems abound. But with modern technology, they can be solved. Then we instill leadership, integrity, and cultural pride in them so that when they go, they'll come back. They will not be lost. Example is Rwanda's Imbuto Foundation. They've done it. Talents have gone out, come back to solve local problems. Pre-export digital skills training. Hubs must be established across Africa. And that brings me to a recent trending news about Strive Masiyiwa, the billionaire from South Africa, who is presently investing $720 billion American dollars to develop AI in Africa. There's no stopping an idea whose time has come. So our ideas is in line with what he is planning to do. The aim of his investment is to empower local AI developments that will enhance data security and position Africa as a leader in digital innovation. That's what we want to do. Not only do we want to innovate, we want to use the innovation to solve socioeconomic challenges within our localities. So these training hubs will teach core skills like AI, cybersecurity, blockchain, robotics, and so on and so forth. India has done it. India's NASCOM trained 3 million IT workers. I remember in the 90s that the US Congress passed a bill allowing 5,000 Indian technicians to come into the US to help them. These people came in and they reinvested back in India. And that is why India is one of the topmost technology-based countries. Step 3, this is where we facilitate global placement. This is already ongoing, so all we have to do is add to it. We can access global scholarships like Chevening, Dyad, Erasmus, with the talents that we have. Prepare them for these competitive scholarships and see them win it. We can also do industry placements in places like Germany, India, China, Estonia, for e-governance, for instance. And by the time they go there, they'll learn and they will come back. Then we will have a return contract that the people we're going to support during this program, when they come back, they're going to mentor 3 or 5 people within their communities. These people that are going to mentor will help them in solving the problems of the communities. And of course, they will invest 10% of whatever they make locally. Then step 4 is return on investment. We're establishing mentorship pipelines that will go from generation to generation. The community innovation hubs will be centered around the problems those communities have, as I've mentioned earlier on. People in Benue or Middle Belt that have storage problems of perishable products like yam, they'll work on it. People in Obomosho that have problem of adding value to their cashew before export, they'll work on it. People in Kano that wants to use hides and skins and export them in such a way that fashion houses will use them in Europe, will work on it. Then we'll have small medium enterprises partnerships, and of course, diaspora support. You know that when we are sending them out, they've become diaspora. Then we use Teach for Nigerian model, as I said earlier on, when Nigerians sent out teachers across Africa, Cuba, and so on and so forth. And before they came back enriched and helped the Nigerian economy. So what is the economic and social impact projections for this? The pilot, we might use about 100 direct primary school students that are entering secondary schools. And we'll monitor them. Each year we'll take 100, each year we'll take 100. So we'll have about 5 years. And you know, by the time they're doing 5 years, the first phase we have used, they are coming to the end of their secondary school. And of course, we'll now prepare them for maybe through GRE exams and so on and so forth. They'll be able to get scholarships, and they leave with a contract already signed. Now, the remittance into Nigeria in 2022 from diaspora was about $20 billion. If only the 10% of that could be reinvested in programs like this, instead of it being used for consumption, because by the time we prepare the minds of these people, they know they're going out and they're coming back to reinvest. So those sets will actually come back to reinvest in their communities. And of course, be able to convince others to also join in the reinvestment. And of course, the economic impact of closing the digital divide is such that $180 billion from this process will lead to increase in the GDP. For instance, by the time we add value to cashew, add value to cocoa before we export them, or we're able to use cocoa and produce chocolate ourselves in our localities. So we don't need to import chocolate anymore. We can now export the chocolate to people outside Africa that actually consumes them. So global case comparisons. The China sea turtles that took place when they opened their economy a little, they sent out people to go into the world, so to say, to learn what is happening and bring back innovation. Those people went, they came back. That's why we have people like Alibaba establishing #1 retail companies in the world. Of course, we know what China has done to their economy. Then we had the India's diaspora that led to $200 billion IT industry in India. The case of Israel, where these people came back, came back, and their security, defense, cybersecurity, agri-tech is #1 in the world. It's not only in this century. In the 19th century, Japan sent out what they call a Wakura mission to learn about modernization that was taking place in developed nations. Then, by the time these people came back, they formed the basis for Japanese dominance in technology. So what is our implementation roadmap? Phase 1, we have a pilot. We use 100 youths for 2 years. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and so on and so forth. Then, if we see the success, we'll now scale up. Scaling up means getting partnership from government, from associations, from NGOs, both local and international, from bodies like AU, from foundations. Then phase 3 is institutionalizing all we have done so that generations will come up and meet it and it will not die. By the time these hubs are attached to certain universities, for instance, if we establish a hub of preserving yam in Benue State University, it will be there with the university as the university is growing and money will be pumped in. Not only yam, other products will be considered. Of course, every project has its pros and cons. So what are the risks associated with such a plan? There is a possibility that these, our young talents, might not return, but we have contracts in place and we have incentive in place that will make them to come back. Skills mismatch. Local problem statements must be put at the forefront of whatever we are doing. So if we're taking people from a locality, we must have their problem statements and how they be solved. Then if the people investing are afraid of corruption, how will their money be used? We will use blockchain-based tracking of funds so that once you are dispensing your fund, you can follow it and know what is being used for. And we'll build in accountability and transparency as well. Then instability. I mean, it's not going to stop anybody like Billionaire Masiyiwa is doing. It's going across the whole of Africa. So if we do it here and there's instability, we can move to the next place. It's a movable project. So in conclusion, from having brain drain, we are going to have brain circulation. The brains will leave villages, go and learn, and they come back to develop the villages they left behind. So migration is reframed as a strategy for local development. Brain circulation, not brain drain. From villages to the world and back to our villages. African youths will become engine of economic renewal. This is not a dream. It is a blueprint. And the time to act is now. The biggest and most intentional way to bridge the digital divide is through place-anchored talent development that are rooted in the local socioeconomic development of African villages, towns, and cities. Thank you, as I expect your comments and questions.
Wow. Wow. As the presentation was going on, I was just wowing all along that this is an actual blueprint. And I think the part that stood out to me most, I think is this last part, this thank you slide, that says that, digital divide must be place anchored. That's a powerful word there. Because in Nigeria today, there are many programs that train talents on tech skills and all of those things. I mean, the idea is that these tech skills will be used to work remotely for international companies who will pay in dollars or in pounds, right? But there is no any particular one that I've seen, at least, that are putting back this money into local economic development or socioeconomic development. And I think this is such a very fantastic idea that the Emmanuel University, should execute very, very fast on. So I'm happy to have come across this and also be part of this presentation. So we'll open the floor for questions, for comments, in case anybody asks one or two. Oh, by the way, I checked up the Iwakura mission, right? And on my screen here, I saw that the Iwakura mission, I'll just read. So the Iwakura mission was a pivotal Japanese diplomatic and study voyage to the United States and Europe from 1871 to 1873, led by Iwakura Tomomi. Its goals were to observe Western industrial, governmental, and educational institutions to facilitate Japan's modernization and renegotiate unequal 1858 treaties and reestablish Japan's position on the world, yeah, basically. So that's really, really fantastic. And I think I've listened to this before, right? Their intention was actually to settle the unequal treaties, but along the line they dabbled into an opportunity whereby they could learn about the industrial, the industrial development of United States and Europe. So they returned back, and that gave a spark for Japan's today's modernization. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well done, man.
Yes.
So yeah,
yes.
questions, comments, anyone? The floor is open. So Dr. Chima said, great presentation. There is need for participants to think of practicalizing the concepts in their own locality. Thanks, Prof. Haunaya. And okay, from IIAS, International Institute for African Scholars, says, great presentation. Thanks, Professor Stella Hunaya. All right. I'm not sure if you have more coming. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's all that there is from the comments. So if anybody has maybe any question, you want to unmute your mic to ask. But maybe while we wait for that, I want to ask a question, or maybe one or two. I'm not sure. Okay, so seeing that you've provided us with these interesting, fantastic blueprints, I could see, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So if we would kickstart like today, like what's like how do we go on from here? Because we can just present, share theories, talk and talk and talk without, if there is no any particular action or execution, it could just mean that we have wasted our time, right? Spending 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, right? But if we execute, it means that we mean business. So if we would start today, like what would be like the biggest thing that can move things forward?
Okay, like I said, we have examination bodies that is national based. We can go to NECO, for instance, or WAEC that is across West Africa. I don't know the other examination bodies across East Africa and North Africa. So whatever it is, that examination body, either regional or national or local, that will help us to pick the talents. The example I gave using NECO, what we have to do is this year's NECO results, we just go there, it's across Nigeria. Look at the problems we want to solve. Like, for instance, I said earlier on, we go to the result of Benue, who are topping the Benue scores there. Though these examinations are no true test of knowledge, but that we want to start from there. It's not the ideal, but we pick them. Then, as we're interacting with these children, we'll know through the enculturation, we'll be able to make them be mindful of the problems of their localities. So once we have them and we've given them scholarship, we'll start grooming them. We start grooming them. Let me go to talent identification. So we now instill leadership and integrity, cultural pride into them. They know their purpose is to do this, help their communities. So as they are passing through secondary school, we are grooming them. We're exposing them to digital training, codings, and so on and so forth. They have a clear vision of where they are going. So with that, we are running it with the pilot, for instance, we just do 1 or 2 states. So once we identify them, we now start giving them those core skills that will reduce the digital divide. So by the time they are finishing secondary school, they are already doing maybe SAT. If they are graduates already, they will do GRE, will help them get maybe schools, will place them.
Replacement.
Yes. Okay. So with that, the pilot is taking off. So after maybe 5 years, they're already there, they've learned, they're returning. 10 years, we have everything in place. And it will be a continuous harvesting of talents from NACO, putting them, running them through those hubs. Year to year, we're producing them. They might not be much, but with the pilot of maybe under 100, we're good to go. I don't know whether it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is really, really fantastic. And I think one of the amazing things about it is the fact that this is very, very different from maybe a non-profit approach where, oh, we are just doing this, we are not making money from it, or all of those things. This has a profit aspect because these young ones that are going out there and coming back is actually to invest all of the skills, the resources into the economic development of their own localities. So what that means simply is that they are running businesses. I mean, the one who is fixing food waste, that's a business. Maybe they are develop, maybe the one that is adding values to the cocoa, building like maybe a mini processing plants, they are making money from it. So that's a lot. And I think the second part would also be that this has a sustainability effect designed into it, such that it is not just a one-off thing, but as they come back, they train the next persons, either 3 to 5 persons, are also taken through the same loop, and it has a very sustainable effect. Yeah, so very, very interesting. So in my mind, I don't know if this is accurate, but I'm like, okay, if we would start today, right? We've identified the talents maybe through NECO or WAEC, and so the next thing is to now begin to train them in tech skills. I think that may require some funding. So, do you see funding as a challenge, or is it the same diaspora investment that will also cater for this? Because I think if you tap into the diaspora remittances, that's a lot. Because I mean, the data says that in Nigeria today, over $20 billion coming into Nigeria. Remittances as remittances. You just go into consumptions and all that, just like you said, right? If you could take 10%, like the deck said, like you said, if you could take 10% and direct it into socioeconomic development is going to be a whole lot. So I don't know if what I just said made any sense at all.
Yeah, in any project, funding is key. But I tell you, we already have hubs all around Nigeria,
Yeah.
for instance.
Mhm.
So all we have to do is look for sponsorships using something like corporate social responsibility and
Okay.
put these talents in hubs. It's being done all over Nigeria. But the only
Mm-hmm.
thing we're doing different is to put it in the minds of these young ones that the key this thing is for them to develop their localities, because whatever we are training you to do is attached to the objective of improving lives in your locality. You won't ever forget it. I gave an example in one of my presentations where a young lady was able to build an app that narrowed the gap between fishermen and their direct consumers. She was
True.
sponsored for a coding program by a private organization. So by the time we are ready with our blueprint, we can approach corporations, NGOs, and they can sponsor these people. Is when they now want to establish what they have learned that huge funding will be required. And by then, of course, they have gone out, they have come back, and results are being seen. Partnerships will be formed as the
Mm-hmm.
SMEs are being established.
Yeah.
Okay. So by the time, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, you established an industry that will add value to the cashew. It's an industry. You have your equipment, you have whatever. They are making money, of course. They will
Mm-hmm.
also make money from the ventures that will go into solving those local
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe once we start, we can do it. It can be done.
Well, wow, this is really, really, really beautiful. And I think, I've read through Emmanuel University's about page, and I saw that, Emmanuel University is very big on entrepreneurship. So this very much aligns, with that belief, of equipping the young ones with entrepreneurship skills or entrepreneurial skills. So yeah, I think we are wrapping up already. Let me check if there's any comments in the chat section. Okay, we have none, so we can actually bring this presentation to a close.
No.
If we,
Can
okay,
somebody say something?
sorry. Yeah, sure, please, you can go
Yeah,
ahead.
before you close us out, please. The International Institute for African Scholars knows about a man who is championing huge activities regarding African development, African independence. And that man happens to be here, and he's based in Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. So he cannot just sneak in and hide. He knows what Africa can also do. So please, Mr. Okezie Amalaha from Atlanta, Georgia, please make your contributions. Thank you.
Okay. Is Mr. Okezie there?
Mr. Okezie Amalaha.
Is still muted.
While we wait for him, there's another big African advocate in the room, Dr.
Okay.
Sheraldine Cook, a member of several elite African bodies. So let's see if Dr. Cook has any comments to make while we wait for Mr. Okesia.
Okay.
I just want to say good afternoon to everyone. Sorry I came in a little late, but I just want to say hello to everybody, and I'm here.
Okay, what can Africa do
Hello.
about colonial past and future?
You said what?
What can Africa do about her colonial past and the kind of future it should have? Your thoughts?
I do believe Africa plays a huge part in our past. I know we met some time ago, and I asked if we can do research on the pre-colonial Africa, and we can learn from that. And I know from that we can continue to build those bridges and close those gaps between Africans and the African diaspora. I know that will help heal a lot of issues from our past from within the diaspora, but getting that research done is pivotal to the healing for both the African and the diaspora for the people. So that's one thing I wanted to add. Thank you for that particular question. And it's a time for healing, and it's a time for fellowship, and a time for togetherness. We need to pull together in all things and not be against each other. So bridging those gaps between Africa and the diaspora is very critical. So I'm going to yield back.
Thank you very much. Is Professor Chimawosu of any views? All right, I yield back to Samson Oladapo.
All right. Thank you very much for that input, sir. that was interesting to know about, because I didn't know that such initiative to bridge the gap between African and the Africans and the African diasporans, is already like in motion. So that's a very fantastic one. Awesome. All right. So if we do not have any other comments or questions, I think we may have to bring this session to an end.
One last announcement. The International Institute for African Scholars is inviting everyone to its 2025 Summit and Gala, taking place in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is going to be a very big event. Big during the event and even bigger after the event. And from what we have seen in today's presentation, I can say that today's presentation will be highlighted at that conference because it is an international institute for African scholars. The presenter today is a top scholar. And the topic she handled today is something that we can call a sine qua non. So I think that this material is going to be highlighted there. So please get hold of the flyer of the summit, the IIAS summit. Share that flyer everywhere. And anyone who is within the United States to be able to attend, because the benefits of attending will only be known after attending. So that's the announcement I have, and I will shut up for good today.
Awesome. Awesome. Very well noted. Very well noted. Oh, how I wish. Well, maybe I shouldn't call it a wish. Maybe I mean, it's something that could happen that I'm also present there. But okay, it's fine. It's fine. God willing, I'm there. Yeah. So, we will be bringing this session to a beautiful close. This the presentation for I think about 20 to 25 minutes thereabouts really opened up a lot of things, especially in my own mind, that I need to go back and think about, because it has in it the very heart for local socioeconomic developments, and that is what is missing when it comes to any tech talent developments right here in Nigeria, and maybe even in Africa at large. So listening to this kind of presentation, gives or drives home that passion, right, even further. So, and I think it's did the same thing almost for everyone on the call. So, thank you so much for attending the third series of the the third session of the Africanization series. So, do have a beautiful and wonderful day ahead. We are still pretty much in the day here in Nigeria. So, I don't know if Professor Stella has any addition or anything to say.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Right. All right. So, bye bye, everyone. See you next time.
Okay. Bye.